and you're feeling all alone. Only you to hold your own. No one there to help you. Only there to hold you down. So stop. Don't beat up yourself. 'Cause it's everyone else. So don't look down. Look up around. 'Cause you are better. I can see that when the fire gets started, it takes a lot of tears to wash away. When they come and make you feel downhearted, don't hide away. And now it's feeling like the longest day. It's getting harder to find the will to stay. You gotta find the strength inside of you, so don't hide away.
So many of us are in the position where our families struggle to pay the rent and put food on the table. The feeling of despair can be overwhelming. So how do you go to school and stay positive and hopeful of your future when succeeding in life can seem hopeless, even impossible? I want to introduce you to Demetrius, aka Billionaire PA. Raised in an impoverished community, he had the desire for the good life. He found a way to take his hardships and failures of his life to fuel his desire to succeed.
My name is Billionaire PA. I changed my name to Billionaire because I wanted it to represent the number of people that I've dedicated my life to help. PA in the name stands for Production Assistant because that's what I used to be. I'm honoring where I actually came from. I was born originally in Alexander City, Alabama. You want to paint a picture of where I come from? This is the picture. We grew up broke. We grew up poor. That's what it was like. When Christmas came, Christmas didn't come for us. When you see your mama working three jobs and she still don't got no money to get you nothing, you don't have no money, and it provides stress. My mother has always been there, whether we were fighting, arguing. I used to pray death on my mama because of the tension, because I had anger problems, and I felt like with her being mentally and physically abusive to me, I had no purpose, and I didn't care about life at that time, around 14, 15, just growing up, period. I've always excelled in school. Nobody really pressured me to do good in school. I wouldn't say I lived the best life, but I didn't necessarily live the worst life. When you grow up and you don't know how you're gonna provide for yourself, how you're gonna eat, and constantly I'm in and out of jail, I felt like a letdown to my family. I mean, I just grew up hustling my whole life. Any way that I can make money, that's what I did. Living in a neighborhood called Lincoln Heights, which is basically all we do is fight, hang out, do street activity stuff, and we sell dope. On these streets, man, it's people out here struggling. It's people out here selling food stamps, just doing anything and everything they can to really make it. I've seen so much negativity in my life of just losing close people that I had disassociated, disconnected away from my feelings. My mother got hit by a drunk driver. She was told that she would never walk again. Then I wake up and, you know, another time and my dad, he got hit by a drunk driver while he was drunk. I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Of course, I'm not saying it was good for him to be in a coma, but hey, at least I got to meet you. My brother was younger than me. When he was in high school, he got killed. He was headed to school, he was a senior in high school. A car hit him while he was in the car. She just felt in her spirit that something was wrong. I had a high school basketball game. I saw my mom walk into the gym. I knew something was wrong, and I knew that was my uncle. She didn't even have to tell me. They found my uncle, I think it was 2 days before Christmas. He had been shot in the head, and he was killed. I stopped caring about stuff, because everything I ever cared for, it always died. I was introduced to marijuana, I think, when I was like 14 years old. I seen a friend of mine, he made the quickest sale ever, and I was inspired because I was broke. He had women, he had nice cars, and he had money. And I wanted all three of them. My goal, honestly, was to die by the time I was 21 years old. I was not trying to make it past 21. When you're in these streets and you're struggling, people need instant gratification. They have no patience. You know what I'm saying? We gotta eat right now. I can't wait till the night. My stomach hurt now. So it's like I took the matters into my own hands. I hung out with the people that I felt like could help me get money. However, I only had one rule, just we don't steal. First time I was arrested, maybe 17 or 18, I never forget my grandmama said, "Baby, once you get arrested, you ain't gonna be able to stop." And I was like, "Nah, grandma, I'll stop." It's not that hard not to go to jail. Man, I kid you not, I think the first time I went to jail, I was either 17 or 18 years old. I went to Texas jail for my drug charge. When I caught that drug charge, I was in jail every single week after that. The turning point for me was I never took my focus off of my schooling. I don't even know why I went to school, because it's not like, when I say school, like college, it's not like my mom pressured me to do it. I did it because I wanted to. I'm tired of being a failure to my mother. I'm tired of being a failure to my family. And I went to the gas station in Birmingham, Alabama, and I asked the dude, what freeway could I get on?
If you go this way, you're gonna go to Los Angeles. But if you go 40 north, south, whatever, you're gonna go to New York.
Because I wanted to get away. I said, I need to drive straight, and I don't want to just tell me one freeway I can get on and just drive straight. He said, why would you want to do that? I said, because I don't even want to think. And I drove all the way to Northern California. That's where my truck stopped at. So I started applying for jobs. It was all bad. Brother, you don't understand what it's like to get rejected by 152 companies and feeling like a failure. When people in Northern California ran my background, they saw that I had felonies on my record, and nobody would hire me. When I ended up in my truck, I only slept in my truck for 63 days. I counted them, day 1, day 2, day 3. I remember it vividly, man. I wouldn't even lie and tell people I had a place, and knowing I didn't. Technically, about 7 to 14 of them days was not sleeping in the truck because my car got towed. So I had to figure out a way how I was gonna get the money to get my car back. And reality hit me. When you see your house and your car get towed at the same time, if you never struggled, you won't get that. I started to take responsibility for my actions. I started turning everything negative into a positive. And that's why every single quote that I have starts negative and transitions to something positive. When I was in that truck, I didn't have no money. So I wrote the quote, "It's okay for your pockets to be broke. Just make sure your mind makes sense." Pin that. I would write quotes like, "Never spend your present time with a person that you don't have a future with." Put that up on the group, because I was speaking these things into existence. I met this real estate investor on day 14 who was very successful that I looked up to. Not only that, he was young. He the person that taught me how to develop a wealthy mind. He said something to me one time that really changed my whole entire life. I let him read some of my quotes, and he was like, "Man, you got a lot of negative passion. If you ever turn this negative energy into something positive, man, you would disrupt Earth, bro. Like, you'd be bigger than me." I'm looking at him like, this man got Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces. Man, I was only 31 years old, man, making a living, killing. When he said that, it reminded me of when my grandmother asked me if I could be like anyone in the world, who would I be like? And at this time, I said, the little old black lady that you always watching on TV. And she said, "Baby, you talking about Oprah?" She said, "Why you want to be like her?" I said, "Because that's the only woman that I ever seen on TV that looked like us and her hands ain't behind their back." That was the first person I ever seen black that was on TV, who was on TV for something positive. My grandmother said to me on that day, "One day Oprah gonna call you, baby." And I said, "Yeah, Grandma, for selling dope. She gonna call me for that." I was being sarcastic. She said, "No, baby, if you just took the negative energy that you put into selling those drugs on some positive, one day you're gonna disrupt Earth." So bring you all the way back, maybe 15, 10 years later, when the real estate investor told me, because he was my peer, and he said something similar, it made me reflect on that moment. I didn't move to LA to be no actor, no model, none of that. I had got rejected so many times by so many different jobs that I finally said I was gonna be strategic. So I single-handedly picked a particular black entertainment company. This was my system. On Monday, I would mail a letter to the company. On Tuesday, I would send them an email. And on Wednesday, I would send them a fax. So the system, Monday mail, Tuesday email, Wednesday fax. Thursday, I would take a break because on Friday, I had typed up a follow-up letter that I had mailed to them that I was anticipating would get to them by Monday or Tuesday to follow up with what they had received on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I probably did that for months. So finally, I got a response from this company. And I had 2 days before the interview. They told me on Friday I had an interview. I went around, walked into business owners' stores and asked them, if I was gonna work for you, what would you ask me? They'd say, "Well, why do you wanna work here?" Boom, I wrote that question down. Then I walked to the next store. "What would you ask me if I was interviewing?" They tell me I got up to about 15 good, solid questions. And I answered them. So when I had my phone call with the entertainment company on that Monday, I had my paper and I had my answers. First question they asked me was, "Why do you want to work here at this company?" In my head, I was just like, "Oh man, I got this, it's a piece of cake." One of the ladies asked me, she said, "Excuse me, sir, but are you reading?" And I said, all I did was write all the questions down that you possibly was gonna ask, and I wrote my answers. And whenever you asked the question, I was going down my list to find it and answer the question. I remember one lady saying, "Don't even ask him no more questions. That's the type of person that need to work here." They said you was hired. I picked up as many jobs as I could. I had no ego. If you ask me to get you some water, I bring you hot and cold back. I was sitting with a friend and I took one of my quotes and I sketched out a t-shirt. And I was just drawing because I had some time, and I wrote out the quote, "Damn a recession, I'm in a succession." And I said, "Well, man, I'm thinking about putting this quote on a shirt." And my friend said, "Forget it, go ahead, well, you ain't got nothing else to lose." I didn't know nothing about no clothing line, man. If you seen this first shirt, you would laugh at me. I sold 5,000 shirts in 3 months on the streets, man. I didn't care if I paid $2 for the t-shirt and sold it for $1. It wasn't about making money to me. It was about understanding marketing. And that is when my degrees finally came into place for me. While I was in the streets, what I was doing was I was pulling out my phone, I was recording people, and I was asking them to say, what do you think about wealthy minds in this message? What is your dream? What dream do you speak into existence? And I probably got thousands of those videos. A lady in Virginia had caught on to one of my videos, started watching my videos, and she called me and she said, son, I want you to come and speak to my kids in Virginia. I got 500 kids. My first response was, ma'am, I am not a preacher. She said to me, she said, I think that God is using your clothing line to get you to your destination of what you should be doing. So I stood on the stage and I delivered. That was my first speech, and that's how I got into speaking. And I've been speaking ever since, because that's what I love to do.
I'm gonna take you back to the truck. When I wrote the quote, when I didn't have no money in my pockets, and I wrote the quote, it's okay for your pockets to be broke, just make sure your mind makes sense. I'm gonna take you back to the truck.
This world will put you through so much that you will not understand who you are as a person. People who are really going through things have to understand who they are as a person. You gotta spend time with yourself. Once you figure out who you are, you have to define what your purpose is in life. This is how you pull yourself up out of your broke situations. That's why I wake up and I do this, so when I think about a person in my situation, the truth, fall in love with failure. Fall in love with it. Make failure, I would marry failure. Like, I'm so thankful for negativity. I'm so thankful for, like, how great could you be if negative people didn't exist? They don't even know the role they play in my life. Thank the 152 companies that rejected me. Look what you helped me create and didn't make anything off of it. The first step to being successful is to let your ego go. Remove your pride and ask for help. I used to wonder why God used sinners to change the world. I used to wonder why God used bad people to do this. It's because he don't use lazy people because they can't get the job done. He's used the people that got the energy. The energy just got to be switched from negativity to positive.
It's not a good way to live life to think that I could die in the next 5 minutes.
This world is crazy. This world just like involves with money. Like we literally live like money controls our lives.
What really struck me was how much of an impact people can have on your lives. There were these pivotal moments that totally changed his entire perspective.
You see kids in Africa not playing with the soccer ball with the plastic bag, and they're so happy. Now we see kids with like iPod, but crying because they don't have a laptop.
And I see people in my high school who are already selling drugs, and a lot of them are just doing it so that they can buy a new phone or stuff like that.
I know some people do it because like they need the money, but like honestly, I don't think it's worth it. There's probably better ways in life to finding money than selling illegal products.
I don't sell drugs because I don't want others to get harmed, just because I don't have a good situation. I think if you put the same energy that you put in selling drugs and be patient, it's impossible to not reach what you wanted. It's possible with a wealthy mind.
A wealthy mind is kind of like having positive thoughts and being able to keep going.
I think that's exactly what he was talking about when he said that he was in love with failure. Honestly, if he hadn't met with so much failure, he wouldn't have gotten as successful as he was.
If everything's handed to you, it has less value. That's why Demetrius, when he was going to all these places, is because this job opportunity was so valuable. This guy, he's like, I'm going to nail this. I need this.
Hope needs to be inside of you, or else you won't make it.
Everything's so fast-paced, and no one has patience like Demetrius. He was waiting and waiting and waiting. No one wants to wait and sit through all the failure to get to success.
It's really, really hard to break this cycle, and the fact that Demetrius was so dedicated to break it just shows this idea of happiness and of living a full life.
That was an incredible story. Let's just take a moment and see if we can get a better sense to understand Demetrius's journey.
What did you pick up on as you watched this? What would you identify as his challenges and successes?
On the surface, we see a young man dealing with the pressures of poverty and taking to crime to make money. And in this case, it meant selling drugs. He felt the only way he could survive was to hustle.
So when Demetrius did not know how to cope with all the incoming threat messages, like his mom's illness, seeing his loved ones die, and living in poverty, he decided to engage in behavior that would bring him immediate pleasure to escape his pain.
Demetrius also struggled to identify with a healthy sense of hope and purpose for his life. We know that the brain desperately wants to feel socially connected. So therefore, without a healthy understanding of ourselves, we often connect to unhealthy relationships. How did Demetrius go from living a life of poverty and selling drugs to creating a new reality and chasing a new dream? Well, reality is what you tell yourself, right?
Demetrius put it beautifully when he said he decided to switch the direction of his focus and his energy. He took all his negative energy and used it as fuel towards a positive direction. He knew his long-term mission would bring sustainable pleasure, a sense of purpose, and a deeper sense of accomplishment.
Why we do anything or go after any goal is fundamentally to live up to our own standards. Your personal why drives your behavior and shapes your character. Having a strong personal why also means you're telling yourself you matter. It's telling your brain that you believe you can create the life you want.
On top of all of this, you are able to achieve a healthy sense of gratification by focusing on a deeper mission for your life. Regardless of the obstacles that come your way, your purpose, your why, will ground and guide you all the way. Finally, your willingness to challenge the status quo and grow your mindset is at the core of these decisions.
Take a couple of your challenges and try to switch the narrative. Look for the positive or an opportunity to grow.
Demetrius also talked about his various role models. What is it about them that makes them special? What are some of the characteristics you admire? And what does that say about the type of person you are choosing to become?
Demetrius was able to turn his life around and become a success. But he had to work harder, try harder, and believe in himself far more than someone raised with more opportunities. There are no shortcuts to success. The most important thing is to find your direction and passion in life. Focus on it and don't let anything stand in your way. Demetrius' biggest assets was the belief in himself and the perseverance to get there. He wrote things down. He reminded himself of the bigger picture so that when he was faltering, he could remember his goals. Keeping journals, listening to mentors, being kind to others are all ways you can help to keep you on your path. After all, we all deserve happiness, don't we?